You've worked hard to earn and save. Now it's time to make your money work hard for you. This is Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida of A Better Way Financial.
So we like to work to explain things here on this radio program, clarify for those who listen to us here on WAEB, because is it not true that in the financial industry, people just throw around fancy words and jargon? It's like further effort to intimidate us.
All the time.
So frustrating. We're smart people. Why we got to be made to feel like that? Well, I want to ask you about annuities right now. And before you switch off, if you're one of these people that has adverse reaction to annuities, we're here for you. Because, guys, what I want to actually ask you is, why do people hate annuities so much? But first, just a little clarification. Again, Financial 101. Can you, in its most basic sense, like within one sentence, just say what is an annuity essentially?
Well, back in the 80s and 90s, in the more old school way that people use annuities, essentially what life insurance is if you were to pass too early, it protects your loved ones from any missed benefits and income. But the annuity essentially does the exact opposite. What happens if you were to essentially live a very long life and maybe outlive some of your money?
And so the annuity would basically continue to pay you out that income.
All right.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you were to invest it or whatever, if you lived really long and weren't calculating that or planning on that, then you could run out of money.
Okay.
So,
Absolutely.
and the thing is, a lot of people are scared about running out of money.
Of course, it's the number one
But
fear of
then
retirees.
Sometimes those people are also the ones who hate annuities.
Right. The irony.
It's like, wait a second.
The irony is thick. All right.
So here's the problem. Here's the solution.
Right. But people
line
don't
it
like
up here.
it. So that's what we want to work to clarify here a little bit in this conversation right now then is an annuity essentially, in a fundamental basic form, it's the opposite of a life insurance product. You are living and you receive the benefit to ensure your money, that if you live a long time, you're still going to have income. And yet, so many people hate annuities. Why is that the case, guys?
One thing that's very important that I brought up was how it used to be used back in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
See, traditionally, you would put in a lump sum of, 500, 700,000, whatever it may be.
Okay.
You'd wait a couple years, or you could turn it on immediately, and then you'd get that stream of income. But, and I'm not going to name any specific companies, but essentially you can be burned because you are guaranteed that income, but the growth in those strategies can be very, very small. So people get frustrated because they don't see their account value grow up. And in addition to that, there may be fees in some of these types of contracts. One type of annuity that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths is a variable annuity. So they're tied to the stock market. It may be different indices, but if the stock market's up 10%, maybe they're up 7. If it's up 20, maybe they're up 17. But if it's down 20%, maybe they're down 23 or 24. And if the stock market's down 50%, maybe they're down 53 or 54%.
In those variable annuities, is the principal protected or can you lose your principal as well?
That's another thing, is that you can lose your principal. Like I just mentioned, if the stock market goes down 50%, you're taking the ride down with it.
Okay, all right.
But why are my highs lower and my lows are lower as well? Well, there's all these hidden fees in variable annuities, and some may not even be disclosed on that statement that you get each month or each year. So, for that reason alone, it can leave a bad taste in someone's mouth. Now, if you're expecting to get 6 to 10% in the stock market, and then you're paying someone else 3 to 5%, they're taking away half of your return each and every year, essentially. So that is one of the reasons why people have, a bad taste or a bad reputation for annuity. Maybe your friend, had a bad experience with annuities. Maybe you had a bad experience with annuities. Or maybe you're just listening to the advisor that you've worked with in your earlier years who maybe they had a bad experience with annuities. It's very important. Just like there are bad real estate investments and there are good real estate investments, there are bad single stocks, there are good single stocks. Just like that, there are bad annuities and there are good annuities, which is why it's so important. If you or someone you know may have an existing annuity, to come in and get an x-ray done on whether the funds are in the best position possible.
Absolutely. And this is something that as you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, you really shouldn't be thinking about annuities. And should I be putting money into annuities? The answer is probably not.
Okay.
Realistically, if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, in your accumulation stage of life, you can have more market exposure. You can have more exposure to the equity side, to the market side. But as you get closer to that 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you really don't want to have that same level of market risk that you had when you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. And so having an annuity in the portfolio can be a way to de-risk some of the portfolio. Like Noah had mentioned, there are variable annuities out there, but there are also other types of annuities out there that don't have market risk. They don't go down when the stock market goes down, and they're able to get nice returns when the markets go up. So it's a way to be able to protect that principal and still get growth within those funds.
Guys, real quick, is it fair to say that you don't use variable annuities at a Better Way Financial?
Completely
Never.
fair.
Okay. All right. Got it.
I don't think we've ever used one.
Okay. Got it.
We haven't really seen a circumstance where it's going to benefit the client. In most cases, when we look at them and we look at the client and we're like, here's your situation, here's your goals. Well, you want to have market risk. Let's just get the market where you don't have that extra amount in fees that you're paying every single year. And then as you're getting closer to that retirement age, you want to de-risk the portfolio. You want to have less market risk. Traditionally, the old thought was, well, let's put it in bonds. But we don't do that here because of the risk that's associated with them. We use the annuities as a bond replacement to be able to try to get good growth without the stock market exposure, without the exposure to the interest rates that bonds have as well. So trying to get the best rate of return for our clients without having them take on any more risk than they feel comfortable with. So if you have an annuity already, or maybe you just have questions on how do these annuities things work, I've heard about them, I've heard good things, I've heard bad things, I don't really know, should I implement them in my portfolio? Do they make sense for me? Give us a call and we'll be able to offer a complimentary annuity x-ray where we can either review your current annuity or talk about how those strategies could work for you in your retirement years. We're going to be able to offer this right now for the next 5 callers. So if you're 55 and older and you've saved $500,000 or more for your retirement, give us a call right now for your complimentary annuity x-ray. That number to dial is 610-440-3722. That's 610-440-3722.
So we were talking recently with a couple. They're from Allentown. Now, they're about 67 and 58 years young. They had 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and they had saved about $1.6 million. Now, they needed about $115,000 to continue to be able to maintain their lifestyle. She was planning to retire age 65, so we still had 7 years of work income coming in. They were with their big investment firm whose philosophy was that they hated annuities. Right, Frankie?
Yep, and they said, well, you know what? I feel the same way as them, and I had an annuity, and they said, get rid of it. And I said, oh, okay, that's interesting. And did they do all the due diligence on it and look through the annuity? And they're like, well, they just said they hate annuities. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not always the best advice. I would say definitely look through it, see if it's something you should be getting out of, see if it's something that could fulfill a need, rather than just making blanket advice. But in their particular circumstance, they needed $115,000 of income, and while she was working, they were getting that income that they needed. However, once she was retired and they were both retired at that point, they were going to be about $75,000 short of their income need. So the Social Securities would provide some of that income, but they would still need an additional $75,000. And what we showed them is that for a little less than $700,000, they can put that money into an annuity, and what that'll do is that'll guarantee them $75,000 each year as long as either one of them is living, starting in the year she retires. That, in essence, takes a lot of the worry out of where am I going to get that income from? How do I make sure I don't outlive my money? We showed them this is how you do it. This is the strategy you can use to be able to make sure that regardless of what goes on in the stock market, you're not going to have to worry about running out of money because this is going to provide that basic income need that you have. And if we wanted to try to get the same type of return on the stock market, the same type of income that they needed there based off of a 4% rule, they would have had to have over $2 million in the stock market, which they only had 1.6 right now.
Got it.
And so the amount of value that they could get for that strategy where they're putting that money in and getting $75,000 per year out of that could make a huge difference. And it really did in their plan specifically. They had just an 84% probability of success of not running out of money the way that their plan was currently set up. And it was currently set up almost all in the market, a very high risk portfolio, but still a very not exciting probability of success. 84%, I still feel a little nervous about that. I wouldn't necessarily want to go into class and get an 84%. That's looking like a B for me.
No,
I was
at least 90 or above.
I was a higher achiever growing up. I was like, I ain't getting 84s. I need to get like a 95 or 100, you know? And we looked at how we could set up their portfolio utilizing this as a strategy for them. We were able to bump them up to a 95% probability of success over their retirement years. So if you haven't had a retirement income plan drawn up showing you what are you going to do when you retire? How are you going to replace the income that you have coming in right now? You should give us a call and we can put together a complimentary retirement income plan. So give us a call. The number is 610-440-3722. If you're 55 and older and you've saved $500,000 or more for your retirement, give us a call right now for your complimentary retirement income plan and review. That's 610-440-3722.
Thanks for listening to Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida. To learn more, visit abetterwayfinancial.com.
By contacting us, we'll review aspects of your retirement portfolio to include suggestions about how best to utilize estate, tax, and retirement planning strategies and other financial services, or if changing management styles is appropriate for your specific needs and objectives. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendations to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. A Better Way Financial is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client, and they are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. Advisory services offered through A Better Way Financial. Insurance offered through licensed professionals at A Better Way Financial. Pennsylvania Insurance License number 301779.